Black magic. You got to know, got to show.
Later on, you'll be seeing on our video, you're going to be seeing that our one and only Shannon McFarland Sawchuck is not here today. She couldn't make it. She had a bit of a hiccup, so I'm hoping everything's all right there. And she's going to get back with us next week. Sitting in for her this week, though, we do have the one, the only, my buddy and yours, the one, the only Mr. Steve Lambert. How you doing today, Steve?
Good, man. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming back. I really appreciate it. You stepped up to the bat just like we knew you would.
Always.
And this week we have with us as well a special guest. He is a Comic-Con legend. He is at all the cons, not just Comic Cons. He's at the wrestling cons, the toy cons, everywhere. He's a good friend of ours. If you're at the Welland Days in the Park Rose Festival last year, you saw him as well in the parade. That's right. That's him, the one, the only, Dr. Stevil.
Hey, how are you doing, Gar?
Doing great. How you doing today, my friend?
Fandiddly-tastic. Life is but a dream.
Well, let me just say, I'm really glad you came in to help us out today. We were supposed to have a band on today for their CD release, but they had double booked.
Yeah, some street druggies, right?
Yeah, street druggies, or otherwise known as street pharmacy.
Oh, right. I usually get that wrong.
That's how we say it in Welland. Street pharmacy.
Pharmacy.
That's
I'm going to the pharmacist. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Yeah, nudge, nudge.
You've got it, doctor. So we brought the doctor on today because there's a lot that happened the last week in the world of pop culture and geekdom. One thing that we really want to get into, because you, if you couldn't tell, his name's Dr. Stevil. Steve, will you give me your last name again? Because as everyone knows, I butcher people's last names, and I already did twice this.
All right, yeah, this is my real voice, and my real name is Zmiak. Or for you muggles that are not Polish, it's Zmi Jack, like it's me, Jack.
Oh, so it's Steve Zmi Jack.
Wow, you know what? How about just call me Dr. Evil? Or Steve, you know?
Well, I don't want to confuse Steve and Steve here. I got the two Steves here today. So.
All right, the other guy's called Steve, so we'll just call me either Doc or Stevil or...
Yeah, we'll call you Doc for
or Hey time. You, or, you know...
For the time being. We'll keep with Hey You and Doc. So, one of the big reasons why I'm happy to have you on here today is last week, there was this old comic book artist that has come back to the comic book world, and he's going to start being an artist once again. His name is Pat Broderick. He back in the 80s, he was an artist. So he was an artist on Firestorm, Captain Atom, Green Lantern, Doom 2099. The Micronauts is probably what people know him the most for.
Really?
Exactly. Yes, the Micronauts.
Right.
Now this gentleman came back, and he does not like cosplayers at all. He basically came out and said that cosplayers destroy cons. Cosplayers go there, they spend all their money on their own costumes and things like that, and then they don't end up spending any money on, you know, the people that are supposedly what you're there for, you know, the comic creators and things. Now, recently, Jimmy Palamonti, who is writing the Harley Quinn comic book right now, which is fantastic. It's basically Daredevil, but just as Harley Quinn, or sorry, Deadpool, I should say. And
same thing.
Yeah,
they're both red, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was figuring. They both wear a mask.
And Marvel, whatever.
But Jimmy came out and he was in favor of the cosplayers. He says that they're a huge part of it. Now, Now, you always dress up the same way, so you're not the typical cosplayer, but you are in the cosplay realm. And I just wanted to get kind of your thoughts on this.
Well, I totally disagree with him. I mean, if he's threatened by cosplayers, kind of like some people are threatened of clowns, that's his problem, and I hope he gets over it, really. Right. But there's a lot of cosplayers I know that are really big comic book fans, and not only do they spend money on their costumes, but they do go out, they do buy comics. A lot of them do go out and meet the comic artists.
Right.
They do. Just if he has a problem with it, well, I'm just going to suggest work on your artwork. Give us something we want to buy, all right? Instead of crying about it, dude, step up the game.
Step your game up.
There's a lot of comic book artists, like even Leonard Kirk. Every time he sees a cool costume. Oh, by the way, he's from St. Catharines here for all you guys.
Yay! hometown artist.
Every time he sees a really cool costume, he will take photos of, reference, and it's like because he enjoys it.
Awesome. See, that's great. And there needs to be, I think, more artists that are like that are more welcoming to their fans, because it does kind of, I don't know about you guys, and I don't dress up as for cosplay ever. I never have. I'm not saying I never would, but it's a huge part of the cons.
You'd make an awesome Robin.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get people telling me I make an awesome Robin or an awesome Captain America. Because
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can see it in the features, honestly, you know, because we've got the same jawline, and that's it. And the six-pack abs, of course. They're there, under there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
many moons ago.
You've improved. Screw the six-pack. I want a keg, man. Try and get through this baby.
That's been my line for years now. I always tell the girls, they're like, "What happened to your six-pack?" I'm like, "Well, you know, I traded in for that keg quite a while ago."
Hoorah.
About grade 12.
You try carrying around a peg, huh? Or keg, huh?
So Steve, obviously, or sorry, Dr. Stevil, you're in favor of the cosplayers. You've already let that be known. I want to ask you, Steve Lambert, for our French listeners. What about you? How do you feel about the cosplayers?
I'm definitely pro cosplay. I'm not exactly a cosplayer myself, although I did wear my Poke High jersey to the Comic-Con a few years ago, where I actually met Dr. Stevil. Maybe we can get that picture up there when this goes onto YouTube.
We definitely are, because I'm going to be putting
But I think without the cosplayers, I think it takes away something from the con. It's just one more reason to come out there and get exposed to these great artists. And some people come for the celebrities, some people come for the cosplay, some people come for the comic books. And while there, you get exposed to all these other great aspects of the con.
Yeah, and you're completely right with that. And the one thing I do, I guess, worry about a little bit is just why it feels like you're going to alienate the fans. And I'm worried about the trickle-down effect or the ripple effect that we might see from this. Is this something where, if there's more artists on his side that start siding with him, saying that, cosplayers are kind of a detriment to cons, are we just going to start seeing cosplay cons? And is that going to be kind of, something that hurts Comic Cons in the whole? Like, I can't personally ever see them stopping cosplay at cons at all. But if this keeps up, and the artists put up a big enough stink, you never know what could happen. Dr. Stevil, what do you think, buddy?
I totally don't think that's ever going to happen. I mean, people dress up as the characters that they draw. Here's I'm going to say GTA local, a guy called Jason Liu, who's created the Pitiful Human Lizard. And I was chatting with him in Windsor, Ontario at the Christmas Con in Windsor. And he had a signing, or, releasing one of his books, and he was thrilled that there's some guy that actually made a costume of the Pitiful Human Lizard and was just walking around helping promote his product. I mean, that is one hell of an ultimate tribute.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And it goes back to the whole, imitation being the sincerest form of flattery out there, right? And that's the one thing that gets me with the artists. I couldn't see them being upset about people dressing up as their characters. It doesn't seem right to me.
It sounds like to me he just wants to make a quick buck, sadly. And he is going to get his fans there, but the cosplayers will go to what they want, just like anyone else. If he's got something that we want, hell, we'll go there. If you don't, I'm sorry, we'll say hello and you can see us there.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, and you know what? We could only hope that, the rest of the artists are going to see it the way that we all see it, and the way that Jimmy Palamonte sees it. And that's the fact that, this is, fans showing their love to the creators. Yeah, sure, you might be missing out on, some money from these people because they spent the money on their costumes, but they still came out and they spent money on the tickets. And now I'm not very familiar with how it works with cons, but when you bring in an artist, I think you pay them to come, don't you?
I would imagine there's got to be some kind of base salary for just appearing at the con.
Yeah, exactly.
And plus, for some of their artwork and sketches, some of them might charge for, right? Which is really, really cool. So they will make a little bit amount.
Yeah.
And the fans too. I mean, what more tribute? Like, if let's say we got they found out that this artist, I forget his name because obviously, you know, he's so important.
Pat Broderick.
If he showed up, Pat Roderick, at a con, and a bunch of people showed up dressed as Micronauts, I mean, would you be offended with them and want to hurt them, or would you actually be flattered?
Oh, exactly, and that's what I think as well. But who knows? Because he is an old school artist. Some artists are known to be a little crotchety and have a bit of an
Back in my day, we used to draw. We had no computers, and there were no cosplayers. You want to be a superhero, they'd lock you up somewhere. You had to be Adam West or on TV or something.
Exactly, and we're not getting that. Or, you know, it's, I don't know. It's a slippery slope that I think that they're on right now, and I think they need to be a little more careful on what they're, the way they treat the fans, especially at a con.
There's so many elements to the con now. There's the comic book aspect, there's the cosplay, there's the celebrity element, there's the wrestling. And I mean, I know the Sports Expo has kind of branched off into their own thing, but I know there was talk a year or two ago about adding sports figures to the Comic-Con. And I think anything that's going to draw people to the con is a good thing.
Well, speaking of the Sports Expo, we're having one in Niagara Falls. It's coming to Niagara Falls, although it's not here in St. Catharines. But they've invited Crossfire Wrestling from St. Catharines here to set up a ring and be at that Sports Expo. And they are bringing wrestlers, because wrestlers are really athletes. I mean, can you go out there and do half the stuff they're doing?
No.
No.
No, it's what they do. Like, if anyone was to try to say that stuntmen aren't athletes, you know, they're sadly mistaken, because you have to be so athletic. And then you take in...
Vern Troyer was a stuntman. I ain't kidding. That's how he started his career.
Little Mini-Me was...
Mini-Me, yeah.
No, you've met Mini-Me. You've interviewed Mini-Me on your Chatting with Dr Stevil channel on YouTube. What was that like?
It was freaking awesome meeting him. The first time, I mean, I thought he was going to freak out. But then, you know, he's the one that broke the ice by looking at me going, It's my brother from another mother.
Awesome. No, he started off as a stuntman, you're saying?
Yeah, because I did my research on him to find out more about him. And yeah, he did start off as a stuntman, probably doing, like, you know, little kid roles and stuff like that. And which, nice. You know, it's pretty cool. And he was really thrilled when he got the part for Mini-Me, because he was a big fan of the first movie.
See, yeah. Well, how could you blame him?
I know, because he said when Mike called him and he did the audition, this is what he told me. He goes, first start off as a small part. I'm like, okay, right. But when I got it, you know, I was jumping on my bed, and that's all I can visualize. This happy little guy just jumping on his bed, and he can get away with it because of his size. If I did it, it'd be like, oh, crap, I got to buy a new bed. We just broke this thing.
Crap on a cracker.
All I keep picturing is a car bed, too.
Right?
Yes, he's in his little car bed there. I'm not too sure. No, I'm sorry, everyone. If you're not hearing Steve so well, we're going to have to fix his mic.
Which Steve? There are two of us.
Steve Lambert. You will be referred to as Dr. Steve.
Or just point. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. That pointing works really well for the people at home.
Well, if one of us answers, I'm sure they're going to figure it out, right?
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Unless you want me to talk like this all the time and really, you know.
Right. No, my right's not very good.
Left, maybe.
But we try. So I guess when it comes down to all this, when it comes to Pat Broderick's, you know, stance on cosplayers, he's in his right to be upset with it, to complain about it. And like we said, it does. The only bad thing is it is kind of alienating his fans, you know. But does he have any point though at all? There is there part of it that he's actually right on, you know? Like,
he might be right if the cosplayers are all standing in front of his table and people can't see him.
Yeah, true enough.
I will go with that. But
now, how often does that? Like, you're at cons all the time. How often does that happen where they set up a cosplay competition in front of someone's booth?
They won't. A lot of times you're going to have cosplayers in front of the artists is because they're interested in the artist's work and want to talk to them.
Yeah, and they're paying them to get a picture done, or they're just coming up and saying, hi, how you doing? Love your work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to say where they're going to go from this. It's not like it's going to kill Comic-Cons or anything like that. Comic-Cons are always going to go on. And cosplays, like you said yourself, they're not going to stop with the cosplaying because it's just too big of a part of the whole experience while you're there. I I'm just hoping, like I said, I'm hoping it's not something that's going to backfire on everybody where we all lose out because of one guy's negative attitude. Because really, when it comes to negativity, it just takes one guy, and then he spreads it to someone else, to someone else, to someone else, and then next thing you know, it's a bit of an epidemic.
I think what you're going to see is, if there is a separation, is these fan expos going on to being more successful than the actual Comic-Cons.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where we're at right now in Toronto. Toronto, the fan expo is way more popular than the actual Comic-Con that happens, 4 or 5 months before it.
I barely even had heard about it.
Yeah, same with me. I had thought the fan expo actually was the Comic-Cons.
First year I thought it was the same event.
Yeah, so... But I'm going to go and take our first break. We're going to try to fix up Steve. We're going to try to fix up Steve's mic while we're off. Just want to make sure everyone knows you are listening to 103.7 FM CFBU, Brock University Radio. This is the RatG Show. I'm Ryan Fleming, sitting here with Steve Lambert, Dr. Stevil. And if you folks want, you can be listening to us live online on cfbu.ca. And with that, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from St. Catharines, this is 103.7 FM, CFBU.
The Brock Animal Rights Club, BARC, is dedicated to raising awareness about all forms of animal exploitation throughout the Brock University and Niagara communities. Through educated outreach, they hope to encourage inclusive compassion towards all animals. BARC promotes a vegan lifestyle to help animals, world hunger, the environment, and personal health. BARC is a working group of the Niagara Animal Defense League. For more information, email brockanimalrights@gmail.com.
Chronic aggression. Here with your hosts, Metal Dan and Cannibal Cam.
Hell shows me.
Here on 103.7 Brock Radio CFU. Sunday nights, 10 p.m. till midnight.
Oh, that feels good.
Hi, my name is Gabby, and I'm a high school student in Niagara. I know that most young people think that they're invincible and nothing terrible could happen to them. However, speeding, racing, and driving while impaired can not only injure but kill as well. Road safety is everyone's responsibility, so please, think and drive, because a second is all it takes.
This message is brought to you by the Regional Niagara Road Safety Committee and this station.
All right, welcome back to Ryan's All Things Geek, RatG Radio, right here on 103.7 FM, CFBU, Brock University, right here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, or you can be listening online at cfbu.ca, that's right. And I'm sitting here today with my special guest, Dr. Stevil. And our special guest host, and I'm hoping his mic's a little bit fixed now, Mr. Steve Lambert. Thanks for coming in, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Now we can hear you. That's so good.
That's what you sound like. Holy.
Well, you know what? It was his wife that asked us to keep him down, so she was just wondering if we could do that for when he gets home as well.
Right. Good luck for that.
Awesome. So, sorry about that. So, before we went to break, we were talking about Patrick Broderick, who's the artist for so many comic books back in the 80s, and now he's just come back, making his comeback. People know him. If you know any of his work, he worked on Firestorm, Captain Atom, Green Lantern, Doom 29, and the Micronauts. And he is not too happy with cosplayers. Now, we did get into that quite a bit. I think we're actually okay. I think we covered pretty much everything we can with that. Like, quite honestly, there's not too much more we can go on to there. One thing I would like to ask, actually, Dr. Stevil about, what originally got you into the cosplaying? Now, I know on my podcast, you and I have already talked about this, but our fans here on the station haven't heard. So why don't you give them kind of a background and what got you going?
Well, I pretty well don't have the body for Superman, so Dr. Evil would be it. I did Dr. Evil. I was over in Afghanistan. I mean, I picked up the costume because I could do the imitation because I thought he was a cool character. People loved it. So once I got the costume, had a good time. I retired him while I was there because I thought it got old. But once I came to Comic-Cons, people dressed up. I was like, this is interesting.
Right.
So I'm just going to dress up, and I did, and I just wouldn't break character all day. My friends who I was with wanted to kill me for it because it's like, shut the hell up, talk normal. And I'm curious about people. Like, I can't tell a story to save my butt. So I would go out and interview them. This way it's like, hey, look, this is Joker, and this is what he has to say. I mean, he likes to draw and stuff. So I started interviewing people as a way to get into editing. So like, look what I can edit. But that didn't take off. Dr. Stevil took off in a whole new way.
Nice. And it's kind of weird how stuff like that happens, though. You know, you're trying for one thing, and then, you know, serendipity steps in and says, no, this is like your true course. This is what you're going to do. And it's one of those things that, you know, have you noticed, like, I got to think one of the best things is, you know, the reactions you get from people and kids and things like that. And the genuine reactions the first time you see them. What's that got to be like for you?
It's pretty cool. When I was helping you with the parade in Welland, I was just walking by between two trucks somehow, and I was carrying my little mini-me doll, and I was just doing this, and suddenly people are like, they start screaming, they start smiling. A lot of the older people know who I am, so they start doing the old finger thing, and when I did that to them, they just all start, yay! Kind of like little 12-year-old girls watching Justin Bieber. Yeah. So that made me happy, because I'm putting... Yeah. Exactly. They were all like jumping up and down, and, you know,
right,
getting out of the wheelchairs and everything. It's just fantastic. And it put a smile on my face because I'm making someone else happy. I'm making them laugh. I enjoy this.
Nice. And that's the reason why I think anybody would do anything like this, and especially on a continually basis, because you've basically... No, I wouldn't say this is a job for you, but it almost is. It seems like you're at a con every weekend. I
do enjoy it. That's just it. And it's kind of funny when I show up at a con somewhere else and they go, hey, Dr. Steve, we heard of you. I'm like, great to meet you. Finally. I'm like, really? Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, hey, way to go. Want to be my number 2? Really cool. Okay, we'll have to take your eye out. I've got a patch right here. You know. They usually run away, but...
So now you also run... Now I want to give a little bit of background. You mentioned Afghanistan. You were stationed in Afghanistan.
I kind of went to work there as a civilian.
Oh, okay.
So I was working for NATO. So anything they needed done, we kind of, made sure it happened.
Oh, fantastic. So you guys get everything done, and then you put a smile on everyone's face as you pull out your Dr. Stevil there.
No, I kind of did that on the side. I mean, the Belgians loved it, of course, since Dr. Evil was from Bruges, Belgium.
He's the real muscles from Brussels.
Yeah, pretty well. They seem to like it. And I made my first... music video out there.
Oh, wow.
A buddy of mine had a camera, right? And he wanted to test it out. He goes, why don't we do a music video? I go, okay, cool. Let's just do a fun one. And at that time, I was going through the internet, and I saw Behind Blue Eyes. I've got blue eyes. Dr. Evil's got blue eyes. And the one that Limp Bizkit did just made me want to commit suicide. Right. It's so freaking depressing. So I got a good buddy of mine who is an awesome musician, Damon Betts.
Hello, Damon.
We get a shout out to you, buddy. He's now in Ottawa. He was my roommate then. I got him to revoice it, Behind Blue Eyes, right? In a nice lighter way. And he did such an awesome job that put me in a fix. I had to step up my game and make this video serious.
So it became a game of one-upmanship.
Yeah. And with my buddy that had the camera, I kind of directed. I went back and looked through all the footage, and then once I realized he was actually competent, I didn't have to do that anymore, but I directed everything. I set up the shots on location in Afghanistan. We didn't reveal anything for bad guys to get. And I somehow pulled off an awesome freaking video, and I took care of...
Now, did you do the video as Dr. Stevil? Or
Oh, yeah. I lip-synced everything. A lot of people thought I was actually singing it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's called Behind Evil Blue Eyes, if you look it up on YouTube.
There you go, folks. So if you're near your computer and open a new tab if you're listening to us on your computer.
Yeah, new tab. We want to hear this.
And then go to YouTube and check that out. The man behind the...
No, Behind Evil Blue Eyes.
Right.
So instead of having, a scar, I had a tan. With the white sunglasses thing. Cause,
Of course. That just makes more sense.
Right.
When in Rome.
When in Rome, do as the Asians do. Take pictures.
Right, so you could just send all of your mail to Dr. Stevil live.
All I can say is prove me wrong, and then I'll apologize.
Fair enough. All right, so so from there, Steve, Doctor, from there you come back to Canada. you start hitting the cons up, like you said, it was kind of like the natural progression, the next thing for you to do.
Well, I always wanted to go to one. I mean, when I was there and I had my vacations, every time, say, I'd go to Windsor or Toronto, I find out there's a con a week before or a week after. I've never been to a freaking Comic Con before.
Oh, no way.
The only ones I've been to is they actually had comic books there and a couple artists like Jim Lee, you know, doing free sketches for everybody.
Wow.
And, you know, that was it.
Do you know how long ago that was for Jim Lee to be giving out free sketches?
That was about 20 years ago or something.
Oh,
Back when
yeah.
I was a student at Sheridan. I mean, he was freaking one of the most awesome people around.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then I hear about all these crazy cons, and I finally go to one in Toronto. I'm like, actually, it wasn't Fan Expo, it was a mini con. I was blown away by that, but I was more interested in the artists that were there and cosplayers as opposed to celebrities.
Now, are you not big on celebrities as it is, or?
Back then I wasn't, but now, I mean, it's become a hobby. When I find out that they're people too and they will talk to you.
Yes.
The first celebrity I ever met was Jimmy Hart, Mouth of the South.
And he will talk to anybody.
Oh, thanks for that.
Nothing against you, but oh my Lord, that gentleman does not stop talking and doesn't matter.
But the reaction is what really surprised me. Because, like, here I am, I'm walking up to him. He goes to his handler, goes, "Oh my God, that's Dr. Evil!" And I'm sitting there, doing the little, Snoopy dance inside my head, going, "Oh my God, that's the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart!" Ah!
So you both were equally excited to see each other.
Yeah, but I had to try and hide mine and try and be professionally evil and shit. And stuff.
And stuff, yes.
Ships,
so,
in the night.
Yes, they sail very long.
Yes.
And dirty. So what was your first job you did? Not your first job, but your first interview, because you have the Dr. Stevil, or chatting with Dr. Stevil. You have the Facebook page and the YouTube channel now. Who was your first interview? And then I want to get into who was your favorite interview.
Okay, this is kind of tricky because when I was in Vancouver just screwing around at cons, I just I saw people with cool costumes, so we did little skits, like about 30-second skits, and
sure.
I posted those. Those don't officially count. But as Dr. Stevil, the first one I went after was one of the, Lego Master Builder? Not a cartoon, but a real Lego Master Builder, one of 12 in the world that actually, his job is to build Lego sculptures that you see at Comic-Cons. To me, I thought that was the most exciting thing ever. And then I actually ran into Kermit the Frog on the other day, and we just started arguing. So I said, well, I'll just throw that up there. And that got more hits. People want to see me argue with a frog. It's more entertaining.
Yeah, people are different.
I mean, they want to see me trip over a banana peel, and, I'll get like 1 million hits. But
oh, yeah.
When I talk to, say, Neil Adams, it's like, oh, yeah, but, he's not beating Steve up with anything.
Well, exactly. Which is kind of sad, too, because Neil Adams, for comic book fans, is one of the kings, still living kings, when you think Batman, you think Neil Adams. At least I do. That's the guy I think of when him and Jim Lee would be the two that I think of for Batman. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how people react to the stuff that you think's going to be really good, and then the stuff that you think's just kind of silly and you throw it up there. It's almost 90% of the time it's the silly that everybody wants more than anything else.
I have no idea what's going to happen.
No.
Even when I ask questions, I have no clue what I'm going to say at the time. I just try and go with what I want and what I know of the characters, and if they say something interesting, I'll try and build on that.
Right.
And at the beginning, a lot of the celebs are kind of like, oh my gosh, they're kind of stiff. But once we actually relax and they realize I'm not trying to ruin their career and we have fun, you see they really relax at the end of the interview. And that's what I want to see. I don't like these interviews where, how many, drawings do you do? What's your favorite? You know what?
Yeah, it's so boring.
Let's just talk and show you're a real person. Relax.
And I think people do want to see that more than anything, is you don't want to see that this person that you admire so much is actually way above you. You want to see that they're just a normal person like you or I.
And hence the old saying, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. Now, have you ever, Steve Lambert, have you ever met a hero that let you down? Because you've got to meet a lot of people. I
have met a lot of people.
And I know you're more music than.
Yeah, but I guess it wasn't really a hero. I mean, I did like the guy. He was a Red Wing. Paul Coffey, obviously, Edmonton Oiler. For 4 or 5 time Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah.
Probably the single biggest idiot I ever met as
Really?
far as professional athletes.
Oh wow, that's sad to hear because he was like Team Canada, Mr. Team Canada.
But I mean, you know, for every one of those guys, there's 1,000 guys, nice guys, like Bob Probert, one of the nicest guys I ever met in my life. You know, Stevie Yzerman, you know. Dino Cicerelli, I could go
unless you're Martin St. Louis, then you're not a big fan of Stevie I.
Apparently.
Yzerman. Yzerman. Wow, I just pulled the Bill Clinton there.
I think it was a Zierman.
Steve Yzerman.
Zierman.
Yeah. Let's just put it this way. I can't pronounce Steve's names.
But other than that, like, I mean, Rob Zombie, probably one of my biggest musical idols.
Nice.
Nicest guy. Very humble.
Really?
Yeah. Phil from Pantera, another very humble guy.
Wow. So all the heavy metal guys are like the humble guys.
They are. It's
because somehow I don't see you meeting Justin Bieber and him being really, really humble. I don't know. Maybe the Biebs is really, really nice, but
I want to chat with the Biebs.
I'd love to chat with the Biebs. You know what? I was talking. Here we go, talking about our geek show, and we're getting. But music is also very geek and very pop culture oriented. But I was talking actually with my 13-year-old son about Bieber because my son was one of those ones. Oh, hate Bieber this, hate Bieber that, and my son watches a show called Ridiculousness. I've seen it. Yeah, it's basically America's Funniest Home Videos, but it's put on by a professional skateboarder, and they had Justin Bieber on, and we're watching, and I was like, oh, you know what? All the people that my son likes, like that are like that Rob Dyrdek that runs that show, and you know Tony Hawk and all. He likes a lot of these kind of attitude kids, and I was like, Bieber's got a lot of attitude. He goes, yeah, aside from his music, he's kind of cool. I was like, wait, what? This is not right. That's right, son. I talked about you liking Justin Bieber on the air.
I'm so glad my kids don't like Bieber.
Wait, your kids that went to the One Direction concert.
My middle child is a One Direction fan, so yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't have to endure that.
Right.
I just had to drive.
Understandable. And on that note, I'm just going to remind everybody you are listening to RatG. This is on 103.7 FM, Brock University Radio, right here in the heart of St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Or if you're listening online, you're probably listening to us at cfbu.ca. And if you want to be a fan of Ryan's All Things Geek page, go over to Facebook, type in Ryan's All Things Geek, give us a like, and you're good to go. We actually even have a new RatG radio group page. So if you want to send us questions for us to read on the air or anything like that, you can go to the RatG radio group, ask for an invite, and we'll let you in the group, and you can start sending us your questions. So I'm sitting here with Dr. Stevil. I'm sitting here with my buddy Steve, sitting in as co-host today for the absentee Miss Shannon McFarland Sawchuck. We do love you, Shannon, and miss you, hon. Hope to see you next week. So there's been a few things that we want to talk about. We're going to get into the trailers from last week because basically last week 3 trailers got released, and it made I'm going to assume all of us in this room made us feel like we were back in high school because there was a Star Wars trailer. There was a Jurassic World trailer, and there was a Terminator trailer. I mean, like, is this
officially 1982?
What is going on? With a little bit of a flash forward into the future for the Jurassic part, but
that's when all the awesome stuff came out. Just saying,
it's sure seeming that way, right? Now
we're going to the future.
Actually, let's just get into the trailers now, because I do have some questions I want to ask, get to Dr. Stevil about later. But I do want to get both of your perspectives on the 3 trailers. You both have seen all 3, right? All right, so let's start off with the first one. Let's start out, because we covered this one a little bit last week, so we're just going to do this one quick. Star Wars. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Stevil. What did you think of the new Star Wars trailer?
It was interesting. It brought me back to, like, this is the old Star Wars. This is the Star Wars I remember, the only 3 episodes that ever existed. Except when I saw that colored guy in the Stormtrooper outfit, the first thing I thought was Spaceballs.
You and everybody else on the internet, because it took less than, I don't know, 10 minutes before there was a meme up that was... we ain't found crap. But yeah, I think a lot of people had that too. What did you think of the overall presentation of it? Did it feel like old school Star Wars for you? Did it feel like the new like the prequels, or did it feel like something completely new to you?
I'm kind of reserving judgment, because the Phantom Menace trailers was also awesome, and a lot of people just seem to like, wow, what the heck happened?
Well,
so although I'm kind of excited about it, I'm still gonna wait.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's all you can do with any trailer, though, is, you know, wait for the finished product. But we're geeks and stuff. We're going to get excited
I'm
about
gonna
certain
see it.
stuff.
I'm gonna see it for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
And for myself, the Phantom Menace backed up the awesome trailer.
That's right. You love the prequels.
I am a fan of the prequels.
Yeah, that it was you.
I'm a
You're
fan
that
of-
one guy.
No, I'm a fan of a prequel. I did enjoy Phantom Menace. I had no idea what happened to clones. And the last one, the only time anyone showed emotion was during the lava scene. Because almost like you've got all these award-winning actors and there's no emotion happening there. Please, like...
See, I would actually put Revenge of the Sith, for me, it's right up there with Empire as the greatest film in the six.
That's Steve Lambert, folks. You can find his email information online.
Send her over.
No, and you know what though? I liked Revenge of the Sith as well. I didn't like the first two, honestly. I found them kind of slow moving, and
I just thought them to be very necessary. The stories, you know, it filled in a lot of those blanks. You know, it was politics. I know a lot of people. That's what it was for them. It was the politics and the bureaucracy of it. But you know what? That's what got us to
where we are.
The Part 4, A New Hope.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with the last movie, if they did not have Vader coming out like the Frankenstein thing, at that point in time, I probably would have really liked it. I mean, it's that silly little thing that they thought were cool at the time, just not.
And I think
like Jar Jar?
Well, no, he listens.
Why say everybody always bugging on Jar Jar?
Yes, that's Steve Lambert, a.k.a. Jar Jar.
That's also my meatwad impression from anybody that watches Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So what they do is they put the wasabi sauce in the fries.
Yes, he'll be here all week, folks. That's right. You should hear his gizmo. So what did you think of this newest trailer, Steve Lambert?
It was good. I liked it. I definitely thought it had. I think it had a good mix of the old and new feel. I mean, the speeders coming across X-wing fighters coming across the water like that. It had a very old feel to me. I mean, some of the stuff like there was the Sith there with the
flame,
the very controversial lightsaber.
I know, why? Because it's an upside down crucifix.
That felt very new to me, you know, and Darth Maul-ish.
I don't know if that's what
you thought. No, I think a lot of people are thinking because lightsaber's laser, right, on the hilt. If you spin it, there's a chance you might cut your hand off.
Yeah, no, I'm just being
about.
facetious, but just because I've seen a lot of memes, and one of the memes was the Sith holding his lightsaber with the two prongs coming off the side there, going up against Jesus. So, and he had a
my personal favorite was the Sith Arby knife.
Right.
Now, speaking of the Star Wars trailer, did you guys see the George Lucas Special Edition Star Wars trailer?
Yes, I did. Where they just added everything. Lucas would have been proud. He actually saw that one and thought it was fantastic and wondered why Episode 7 wasn't more akin to that.
And J.J. Abrams with its all lens flare.
You know what, though? I didn't see any lens flares at all in this trailer.
There's a special J.J. Abrams edition of that.
Oh, yes, that they've made. Yeah. I stayed away from that one. I don't mind J.J. Abrams. Star Trek 2 had quite a lot of lens flare in it. The first one did a little bit, but I didn't really.
I thought I was watching a bad copy of a movie with
I didn't notice it at all in the first one until people kept saying it on my wall and on my page. And oh, I didn't think it was that bad, and go back and watch it. I'm like, oh, now that's the only thing I can notice now. But no, I thought it was all right. As for the newest trailer, I think the new trailer looks fantastic. I think it is, like Steve said, it's a mix of the old and the new. I have no problem with the new lightsaber, as we said last week. It looks almost like it's something that the guy fashioned himself in haste. You know, there hasn't been Jedi or Sith around in a long time, so he could just be going on, grab this, grab that, you know, salvage pieces. Like I said,
I think the only thing, and I know there's been some talk about this too, the only thing I didn't really care for in the trailer was I don't know what they're calling him, FIFA bot or
the soccer ball, the soccer droid.
Yeah. The jury's still on that one for me.
I didn't mind it. When I saw that, it reminded me a lot of the original. No, it didn't remind me of Jar Jar at all. Actually, it reminded me of the original Star Wars. The first time we're watching it, and the first time we're seeing droids, and we're like, well, okay then. Like, all right, it's weird and nothing that really kind of makes sense to me, but I like it. And that's kind of how I felt with seeing that droid go. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is old school. Like, I thought episode 4 right away. I'm like, oh yeah, New Hope. Yeah. So, but it's going to be different for everybody. So, but we're going to say all of us give that pretty much an A.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would say.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree. I think most people did as well. Let's get into the next one, which would be Jurassic World. Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, who just likes to scream a lot.
Is that the lady?
Yeah, she was in the M. Night Shyamalan's, the really, really bad one when he just started getting bad, The Village.
Be more specific than that.
The Village? The one where she was a mermaid or something. I'm sure Will's going to send us a message soon to let us know. Yes, Will, we're waiting for you to send the message now. Will actually sent us a message just to let us know. That's Will Mahoney, our other admin that everybody knows and loves. We were talking about cons and stuff and people you met. He said he met William Shatner and it was not a good experience. And I have heard that from everyone who's ever met William Shatner.
Yeah.
I heard that about him and Ric Flair.
And I met Adam West a couple cons ago too, and he was very short.
Yeah. But he's tall though. No. Sorry.
So it seemed like he didn't really want to be there. They had bodyguards stepping in front of him, so people walking by couldn't even snap pictures of him. And
Same with Burt Ward.
Why be there, man?
Yeah, Burt Ward was like that.
He was like that. We paid pictures to have a picture of Burt Ward in front of a green screen. So I went up and was like, hey, man, I really like your stuff. I mean, I was a fan as a child, and he was kind of like, yeah, thank you. Shook my hand, been looking around for someone else to talk to.
Yeah.
So, okay, I sucked it up. I took a picture, and I walked out grumbling. When I got the picture, it was really cool. I was really excited. But the fact is that meeting with him soured me on him.
Yeah, and it goes back to what Steve said earlier. Never meet your heroes. Unless you're ready to find out that your hero is just a normal dude or dudette.
Okay, here's something for you celebrities. I mean, this is for you guys. When I myself go to a table and meet the celebrities, I want to chat with them. If I get a really good vibe and have a good time, I will purchase a picture and autograph.
Yes.
If I get the feeling like Lou Ferrigno showed me, like when I went to chat with him, he was looking anywhere but me because I wasn't pulling out a wallet. And although he was polite, it's like, dude, you lost the sale because you didn't pretend to be interested in me. It's kind of like the strippers at a strip club. If they look at you and give you attention, pretend you feel like you're wanted, well, you're more bound to buy him a drink.
Exactly.
Or buy,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A good experience is going to result in a.
So for some of us, we're
sale.
still on the fence. So if you really give us a good experience, we will get it.
And
you're an actor. Do your job.
And when it comes to cons, and people I think the celebrities need to realize this when it comes to cons. If you're a bad guest, like if you're a bad celebrity and you're rude to everybody, that spreads. It's like being at it. It's like owning a restaurant, but it's like owning a restaurant, right? If you have a restaurant and you do one good thing, or you do something really good, people are going to be like, oh, they're not really going to mention it, or maybe tell one or two people. But if you have bad service, you're telling everybody you possibly know. And the same thing could be said with the celebrities. If you go to a con and you meet an Adam West or Ric Flair or a James T. Kirk, William Shatner, and they're rude, you are telling every single person at that con.
If you're lucky to be on the radio, if you can say it.
Facebook and Twitter. And
exactly. And it spreads so quickly because that's what Shatner's known for, is for being kind of a D-bag, a Delta Bravo, as we like to call them.
Delta Bravo, nice.
Yeah, during the day, we like to call them a Delta Bravo. A little later at night, we can change that up a little bit.
Right.
Right. But, so it's different. But we're just going to take a quick break. We're going to have our quick commercial break and get into some of our half sponsors there and some of our PSAs. And I just want to remind everybody, you are listening to 103.7 FM right here on CFBU, Brock University Radio, or you can be listening online at cfbu.ca. And with that, we will be right back.
Broadcasting from St. Catharines, this is 103.7 FM, CFBU.
The Brock Animal Rights Club, BARC, is dedicated to raising awareness about all forms of animal exploitation throughout the Brock University and Niagara communities. Through educated outreach, they hope to encourage inclusive compassion towards all animals. BARC promotes a vegan lifestyle to help animals, world hunger, the environment, and personal health. BARC is a working group of the Niagara Animal Defense League. For more information, email brockanimalrights@gmail.com.
Chronic aggression. Here with your hosts, Metal Dan and Cannibal Cam.
Hell shows me.
Here on 103.7 Brock Radio CFU.
Sunday nights, 10 p.m. till midnight.
Oh, that feels good.
All right, welcome back to RatG Radio right here on 103.7 FM, CFBU, Brock University, right here in the heart of St. Catharines, Ontario. Or as I said before the break, you could be listening to us online live at cfbu.ca. Don't forget to tell your friends. And I'm sitting here in studio today with our guest co-host today. As you heard some of his great voices there, the one, the only Mr. Steve Lambert.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Me so not want to do this anymore. And then we also have with us this week the one, the only, Mr. Comic-Con himself, Dr. Stevil.
Hey, Jar Jar, you want to work for me?
Yes, I'm very, very interested in working for you.
You throw shoes?
I do throw shoes.
Perfect.
Wow, and boom goes the dynamite. Just to give a quick shout out, thank you, Will Mahoney. The movie in question was The Lady in the Water. That's what we have Will for. He is our very own go-to guy. And I do want to send a special shout out to a new listener today, Douglas Ray Curry. Seems to be listening to the show, and last thing I saw from him was Firestorm. Woo! Woo! So that was a shout out for Pat Broderick, the creator, one of the artists of Firestorm, and maybe a shout out to Ric Flair as well. Woo!
Oh, this gentleman that he actually volunteered to camera a couple of my little episodes at the Doctor Who section at Fan Expo.
So you're bringing on your own fans with you. Look at you now with your bad self. And that actually worked out because he's bad.
I'm evil, yeah.
Evil.
Evil Doctor Who.
Exactly. I am a little upset though. Out of all the times I ever see you, I never see you around with a toy shark with frickin' lasers on it. I'm just saying. I've seen you with the mini me. I've seen you with the astronaut mini me, and I've never seen
me with Vern.
I've seen you with Vern with the real mini me, but I've yet to see you with sharks with frickin' lasers on their heads.
I want a live shark with a frickin' laser.
Well,
is that too much to ask? Really? I have one simple request, and that is to have a shark with a frickin' laser attached to its head. Like, what do I pay you guys for, really?
Well, you know, one thing you probably can do is head on over to Marine... Oh, we're just going to leave that one alone.
Marineland.
So we were, just before the break, we were just about to start talking about Jurassic World, as we all just say a little bit of a prayer for those that we lost at Marineland this year.
Prehistoric sharks with lasers.
Exactly.
That reminded me of that section of the trailer where that thing just came up and got the...
It was so awesome, wasn't it?
The shark. Wow.
As long as it wasn't the Samuel L. Jackson in Deep Blue Sea, we're all right.
Didn't see that coming.
No.
I am sick of all these sharks.
Anyway, so we did Star Wars. We're going to get into Jurassic World a little bit here. So Steve and I talked about this, Lambert and I talked about this a little bit before we came in today. Now, I never watched the third Jurassic Park because the second one was just so brutal to me. When I mean brutal, I don't mean violent. I just mean bad.
Same. I did not see the third one.
Yeah.
Same reason.
And had part 4 come out 5 years or a couple years after part 3, there's no way I would see it. This one, though, I might go see. I'm just wondering, Dr. Stevil, what were your thoughts on this trailer and the Jurassic franchise, as they say?
Sadly, I read the books. Well, I'm not going to say sadly, but comparing the books to the movies, If you ever do that, watch the movie first and then read the book. This way you can enjoy both of them a lot more. Watching Jurassic World, it was almost like they're revamping the whole thing. I mean, I'm kind of excited because the effects look really cool, but it's like, are you guys going to pull a RoboCop on us? And try and up it? Because that was a freaking awesome classic movie, Jurassic Park.
But now they've added a hybrid dinosaur this time around.
And the Velociraptors seem to be controllable.
Right. And almost rideable. Well, they're
running
along Chris Pratt at one point. I like the new meme that's out, and it shows Chris Pratt driving on his little quad there, and the Velociraptor's running beside him. One of the raptors is running up and going, Mr. Pratt, just one autograph, please.
That's probably what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the true story.
Can you introduce me to that raccoon?
Well, for me, I'd want to meet Gamora. But that's neither here nor there. Just saying, Columbina. So Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. What did you think of the trailer itself, though?
Anything that moves.
I like the trailer. It would be something I want to see had I not seen Jurassic Park.
Right. Great answer.
Because it's like what?
I like the trailer. I honestly, I don't think I'll really like the movie. I think it's going to be the same old stuff again.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of on the same page with you guys here. Chris Pratt was great as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy. He may very well be great in this movie, but the movie still, there's something about it. It's just like, been there, done that. Exactly. It doesn't seem like. So what? The new spin is you've made a hybrid dinosaur instead of just cloning old dinosaurs from mosquito blood. Fossilized mosquito blood, which let's not even try to get into the science of that and how that's almost as bad as Superman saying he's going to move the Earth out of the way of a comet
or fly fast backwards.
Fly fast backwards to make it time reverse. Thank
you, Muggles, for directing.
Yeah, I'm not too sure that this is going to be the right movie for us. I don't think the Jurassic Park franchise really should have kept going on.
It's going to appeal to the newer generation who necessarily didn't grow up
or didn't even see it,
or didn't even see them.
Right,
agreed.
Because my kids didn't see the original Jurassic Parks.
Nor mine.
And I wouldn't even. And you know what? For as popular as the first one was, and the second one to a certain extent, it never even crossed my mind once to even show those movies to my kids. Whereas every other movie I grew up with, I'm like, well, we got to watch Last Starfighter, we got to watch, The Frighteners,
Schindler's List.
Well, Schindler's List. That's only when I want them to make sure they behave. No. Again, send your hate mail for me to Dr. Stevil.
It's what I do. I'm Belgian.
I'm not usually this evil until Stevil's around. But yeah, so I think we're all on board though. Jurassic World, we kind of give that a big thumbs down.
Wah, wah.
Thank you. I'm going to say though that wasn't quite as good as your Jar Jar.
All right, I'll keep going.
Have Jar Jar doing wah wah.
And we have one request. We've only got about 8 minutes left, so we have to get into the Terminator real quick. But we have one request from Will Mahoney. And he says, can someone throw me a frickin' bone? So I think he's asking to hear it.
Really?
Throw me a frickin' bone here, Mahoney. What do you want me to say?
Throw me a bone, why don't you?
Really?
Nice. Yes, and my Dr. Stevil is nowhere near as good, obviously. Although I think I look like him quite a bit.
You do?
I do. Well, if...
Look almost exactly like him, except for, you got that little goatee.
Yeah, the goatee. And
so you're like the evil world Dr. Evil, like the evil world Spock.
Bizarro Dr. Evil.
Bizarro Dr. Evil.
I like that. I like it a lot,
So Dr.
actually.
Not So Evil.
So last 7 minutes here. Let's get into Terminator Genesis before we descend into total chaos here. Terminator Genesis. Couple things here. One thing, I'm going to get both what you guys think first, and then I'm going to give you what our other co-host Shannon thinks, because she actually sent it in to us. So we're going to start with you, Dr. Stevil. What do you think of the trailer itself?
The trailer, I finally saw it. It seemed pretty cool, but I mean, after what they did with the rest of the Terminators, I don't know what to think of the movie. I'm gonna see it to see what happens.
Yeah.
I saw the first 3. I did not see the one with Batman starring in a Christian Bale. I don't know, it just didn't appeal to me.
No.
And this one, let's just see what an old Schwarzenegger can do. As long as he says, "Back to the chopper, I'll be back," then you know.
He does say, "I'll be back," as he jumps headfirst into a chopper.
I'll be back to the chopper.
Right? Which is awesome. So, yeah.
It could have been his clone.
It could have been his clone. I do not know.
If you want me, who am I?
So, Steve Lambert, what about you, brother? What do you think of Genesis?
I thought it looked good. I thought the casting was good. I definitely like who they picked to play the
Emil
old
Clark,
Sarah Connor, and even the cop we were talking about it earlier. It was,
Kyle Reese.
Kyle Reese. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so Kyle Reese is played by Jay Courtney, I believe, and that's the guy that played Bruce Willis's son in the last completely horrible Die Hard movie. And the lady that's playing Sarah Connor is Emilia Clarke, which is Khaleesi from Game of Thrones.
Ooh.
Now she's got the dark hair, and when she talks, I don't know if anybody else, but when I watched the trailer and she's talking, I was hearing Linda Hamilton's voice. Her mannerisms, and I'm watching her, I'm like, oh my God, she's like got this down. Like her mannerisms were just like Linda Hamilton's. Like I've seen other actors come on and take a role that someone else had started, and then they try to put their little spin on it. No, not in this case. She is done, and to me, I prefer this. I prefer you do it the exact same way the first person did it, you know? Like, listen, when we got our second Darren on Bewitched, he didn't play it different than Dexter. Just say.
Agreed.
I think it's one of those movies. I mean, I definitely will watch, but I'll probably wait till it comes on TMN.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? For all these movies that we talked about, Star Wars, Jurassic World, and Terminator, I think Star Wars is the only one I'm going to see in the theater. You know that I'm going to see
at the
before
midnight premiere, as I was for all the prequels.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'll probably wait till the next day because I don't want to wait in line, but I'll still see it.
With the midnight showings, usually you get all right. Sometimes you can get in there and there's not that many people. Depending,
people dressing
but it's
up
Star
for
Wars, so it'll probably be.
Yeah, when I remember going to see Phantom Menace, we had the tickets for like 6 days in advance, and I was telling everybody like we got to go. We got there half an hour before the movie started and ended up in the front row.
Wow.
So yeah, I watched half of the screen. My friend next to me watched the other half of the screen, and we talked after.
Wow.
Kind of filled each other in on what was going on.
Nice. This is what happened on the left side. On the right side. Which is good. So one of you guys got... So that's why you actually like the movie so much.
Yes, because I only see half of it.
Exactly. Right. So you only got to see the stuff with Darth Maul. Yeah, of course, that was good.
And I only seen the parts when Jar Jar was funny.
Wait.
Chirp.
Right.
Chirp. Was there any?
Oh, come on, you haters.
Yes, we are. So
Mr. Beast is getting very, very angry in here.
Uh-oh.
And he does birthday parties, too.
Bring the Gungans, or Gundans, or...
Yeah,
Gungans.
Wow.
So Shannon sent us a message earlier, and I'm sorry, it wasn't about the trailers. What she sent us one about, though, was about the cosplayers, because anyone who knows Shannon knows that she likes to dress up as well. Cosplay and zombie-wise. Anything else than that? I don't know. Stop asking me, fanboys. I'm talking to you, Johnny. So, talking about the cosplayers, Shannon said, cosplayers put an extreme amount of effort into what they do, hours upon hours, and big bucks into their costumes. Maybe that's why they don't spend as much as non-costume goers at your conventions. I mean, the Space Network has an entire show dedicated to them, and several big fans of multiple comic book franchise, games, and anime have made careers out of making costumes for their series they love. In my opinion, fans, including cosplayers, are the ones who keep your series going. Don't bash someone because they may not know offhand, especially if they are new to your series. Can't get things right off the cuff. Or she's saying if you can't get them right off the cuff. Fans, as I have learned in my years of popular culture study, are what makes the world of geekdom go round. I salute cosplayers and the amazing things fans do with comic book characters. I hope to one day try cosplay myself, in fact. Which is, and she, like, that's saying it perfectly. I think she summed that all up great, and I'm actually kind of surprised she's never done cosplay before. But yeah, Shannon, summed that up perfectly. That's why you're our co-host. That's why we love you. Miss you. And I think
we miss you.
We all miss you. Yeah, I can't do anybody's accent at all.
Jar Jar gonna
You
miss
should have
too.
heard me. You should have heard me doing my British accent.
Listen, you're very, very much, Shannon.
With that, then
I don't know if anything ever happens to you. I'll grieve, but then I'll just make a new clone. Okay.
So with that one, we are finished with our show.
Hold on, before we go.
Sure.
I just got a brief Flash announcement.
Sure, please.
No pun intended on that. Mark Hamill set to join the Flash and reprise his role as the Trickster.
As the Trickster.
You guys can talk about that next week if you want.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So yeah, we'll do that. It's been great having you on the show, Dr. Stevil. Love it. Thanks, buddy. Have you on again next time you're in the area. I know it doesn't happen often.
Thanks. I had a great time.
Awesome.
And it's great meeting you and you, Steve. Again.
Yeah, always good to meet you.
Love your Jar Jar.
Thank you.
I never thought I'd say that to anyone, but I love your freaking Jar Jar.
Steve Lambert, thanks for coming on, buddy. As always, thanks for filling in.
No problem, man. I'll leave Jar Jar at home next time.
Nah, bring Jar Jar out.
Bring him.
So yeah, again, you guys, you listen to RatG, Ryan's All Things Geek right here on 103.7 FM, Brock University, CFBU, or listen online at cfbu.ca. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here.
Black magic. You got to know, got to show.